Hey guys, and welcome back. So today I'm going to be doing a Q&A and a wrap-up for Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 3. Season 3 was an absolutely phenomenal season. It was so brilliant and well done and had such a satisfying conclusion. I loved almost everything about it. It was amazing. I loved it so much and I can't wait to talk about it even more. It was a great way to close out the high school era, but man, I will miss it. I will miss the library and Sunnydale High and Snyder, I guess, kinda. I'm gonna miss him a little bit. He had some really funny moments, but I'm also very excited to see where the show is gonna go next. This is gonna be completely new. They're gonna go to university, they're gonna be separated from each other a little bit more, so I'm really interested to find out all these new dynamics. Thank you so much for everyone who submitted questions. I'm gonna try and go through all of them. And I think I'm going to start with the question that's usually most frequently asked, which is what was my favorite episode and what was my least favorite episode. I do want to expand on the idea because for my season 2 video, I ranked all the episodes. I had oh, this is number 1, this is number 2, blah, 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 right? And I was going to do the same thing for this one, but I just couldn't pick. Season 3 had so many amazing episodes that it was getting so hard to try and rank them up, saying oh, this one is better than this one, but in reality they're not. They're kind of on the same level. So instead of doing that, I'm actually gonna do a tier list, which is a lot more easier to do because I can just be okay, so these are the best episodes and then these are the second best, and then I don't have to pick between individual episodes. So let me show you my tier list and walk you through my ranking system. So at the very top I have traumatizing but in a fun way, which basically just means it was an exceptional episode which broke my heart, but I kind of sort of enjoyed it in a very masochistic way. The next is 5x5, which I just love it so much. It's a really good episode and I enjoyed it immensely. Under that we have Love But Not In Love, which means I still really enjoyed it. It's a great episode, I was just not in love with it. Then we have Good But Could Have Been Better, which just means that it was still a really good episode. I just don't feel it was as strong as the other ones above it. And at the bottom we have Stake Its Ass, which is still a good and fun episode. It's just not great. Guys, this is season 3. I can't put anything below than me enjoying it. Every episode was really good in their own right. So yeah, fair warning, I think I might be putting a lot of these in the top 2, top 3 tiers, because how am I supposed to rank anything below those? I just can't. So yeah, let's get into it. So first one is Anne, and we straight away have a top tier episode. This was such a brilliant season opener. I really enjoyed it so much. The line, "I'm Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and you are?" Are you kidding me? It was perfection. And then them bringing Lily back was so unexpected, and I really liked it. Especially that it was one of those bring backs where I had to think about it for a sec to remember who she is. And then they helped each other through their griefs, and then Buffy came home and they hugged with Joyce. It was all so good and I really enjoyed it. Next up we have Dead Man's Party. I'm not sure where to put this because I personally really enjoyed it, and not just because Giles was hot as hell threatening Snyder at the end, pushing him against the file cabinet. Who do you guys think I am? That's not the only reason why I'm loving this episode, but I do enjoy the angst, and I like that the Scoobies confronted each other. I just didn't like that they did it in front of the entire school at the party. It was kind of random and nothing really got resolved. So yeah, and also just the whole zombies coming to life and then Pat dying and then Buffy killing her without feeling anything. She made a pun. This woman did nothing wrong and she just randomly got killed, and then you re-killed her, and then you just said "made you look" when you shoved a freaking shovel into her face. That was a little callous of her. I don't know, I think I'm gonna put it into Good But Could Have Been Better. I enjoyed it a lot, but I wish it could have been done differently. Next up is Faith, Hope and Trick. I'm gonna put this in Love But Not In Love. We do get to meet Faith in this one, and it's a really fun episode. We do get to learn a lot about Faith in this one. We already see her character and her tragic backstory, and it was a really fun introduction to her. Next up is Beauty and the Beast. Originally I was gonna put this into Good But Could Have Been Better, but then I remembered Mr. Platt, and Mr. Platt, he was there for Buffy. He was actually gonna be a really good guy, and Buffy was gonna open up to him, and her little speech of like being afraid and asking for help because Angel is back was so good that I'm just gonna have to put it in love, but not in love. I mean, the monsters, yeah, I didn't really care for that. I mean, in a sense that it was kind of just random on the side, and also Buffy was kind of mean to the poor abused girl. Like, it's really not the girl's fault that her boyfriend is an abusive ass. So I wish Buffy had a little bit more compassion towards her, but I also think she was actually projecting her own situation onto her, and this is what she would be telling herself. Like, Buffy would tell these things to herself if she could, because she feels like, you know, she's in an abusive relationship with Angel. Also, Sarah Michelle Gellar's acting at the end when Angel gets down on the knees before her, and the way she's just standing there and crying, brilliant. Show-stopping, amazing, love her. Next up is Homecoming, and it's gonna go to stake its ass. I'm sorry, I wasn't really a fan of this one. And also the question to what's my least favorite episode? It's Homecoming. What I don't like about this episode is the potential it had, and it could have been so good. First of all, I feel like they made both Buffy and Cordelia very unlikable in this one. Like, they were just so rude to each other for no reason. And then Cordelia saying that, you know, Buffy has a single parent, and then Buffy hitting her back with "your whore." Like, that was too much for me. I was not a fan of that. And also, I feel like they were trying to go for like a Rogues Gallery type episode, and it's such a shame that they only had Trick in it, who didn't do anything, he just organized it. And we only had the cowboy vampire come back, which, I mean, the whole Slayer Fest idea sounds so much fun. Like, you hear the word Slayer Fest and you're like, okay, that's gonna be amazing. And then it's just like, what, a weird, spiky looking thing, two Germans who don't speak, and the cowboy vampire, like, that's all they've got. Like, I really wish they would have actually brought some of Buffy's foes back. Like, the ones we could have gotten back were like Darcy, the witch from the statue could have come out, we could have had some of the fish monster come back, or even that weird werewolf hunter guy. Like, he was such a dick. Like, we could have had actual people who we recognize come back, and I think that could have elevated the episode so much more. So yeah, this one goes to the bottom of my list because I feel like it had a huge potential and it was just kind of wasted on some randos that we don't care about. Next up is Ben Candy. Man, obviously it's 5x5. Like, this is such a fun episode. We get to see Ethan Rayne again. We get to see teenage Giles and teenage Joyce. They were such a hoot. I love them so much. Ben Candy is such a fun and lighthearted episode. Well, I mean, if you ignore the babies that they almost fed to that snake thing, but, you know, fun for the whole family. And I just loved Ethan Rayne and Giles interacting, especially that because that was Ripper, and I don't know, it was just a really, really funny and amazing and fun episode. Next up is Revelations. I think I'm gonna put this into good but could have been better. I still really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed Gwendolyn as the villain and her manipulating poor Faith. Like, everybody is just manipulating Faith. Like, I feel so bad for that girl. But I did really, really love the conversation between Giles and Buffy about Giles, you know, being so betrayed and hurt by Buffy that she didn't tell him about Angel coming back. So yeah, it had some good moments, but as a whole, you know, it's a typical Monster of the Week, nothing too special about it episode. Then we have Lover's Walk, which is definitely traumatizing because Cordelia, hello, they faked her death. I mean, they didn't fake her death, but they made me believe that she died, and that was so rude of the show. What the hell? That was extremely rude, and I'm still kind of scarred by it. And also we got Spike back, and it was really fun, and I loved him, Angel and Buffy together. Like, they were such a fun trio, and I just loved Spike being like, yeah, you guys are not friends. Like, are you all blind? Like, you clearly are into each other. So that was really fun, and I enjoy his character a lot. Next up is The Wish. So I'm gonna put The Wish right here, and I'll tell you why. I was actually starting to change my mind about it. Like, I got to Doppelgangland, and I was like, okay, cool, like, it's all coming full circle, and like, things are making sense. And then I posted my Wish episode, and then I got so many rude comments that it really kind of turned me off of the episode. Like, I really don't appreciate being called an idiot for having a different opinion. Like, everything I said in that video, I still stand by it, because at that point there wasn't really a point to the episode. Like, it hadn't really mattered yet. So yeah, like, that was really unnecessary, guys. So, but I have changed my mind about it, so I'm gonna bring it up to love but not in love, because I do like it a lot more than I did originally. Like, the thing is that I'm not a fan of, like, what if episodes. Like, as a whole, I don't enjoy them too much, and that's the same here. Like, I would have enjoyed this a lot more if anyone, if someone had remembered what happened in the Wish World, or if in Doppelgangland they had gone to the Wish World and they could have seen it. Like, if either of those things would have happened, I would have loved this episode way more, because it is fun. But the fact that no one knows is kind of hindering my enjoyment of it. Like, I was reading through people's comments, and a lot of people said that, like, oh, this episode is for the audience. And I don't know, to me, that's just not appealing at all. Like, I don't want an episode to be made for me. I want the episode to be for the characters that I get to watch and enjoy with them and learn with them and grow with them. Like, I don't want to learn about the characters without the characters actually learning about the same thing. So yeah, it is a fun episode, and I appreciate it a lot more now than I did when I first watched it, because obviously because of Doppelgangland, but then also because we saw later how Buffy, you know, tried to go to a different university, and we know that that would be a bad idea, because we could see what would happen to Sunnydale if she wasn't here. The same as with her mom saying in Graduation Day Part 1 how she wishes she would have taken Buffy to a different school, but we know that that would have been even worse for Buffy. So, like, it does come back and it makes sense and it has a point. But to me, for it to be a great episode, I would need someone to remember that. I would need Cordelia to remember that, because then she could have, you know, when she came back, she could have learned something. She could have been more prevalent to the plot as well, because I feel like Cordelia was kind of just shoehorned into the latter half of the season. Like, she didn't really have anything to do. So it would have been a lot cooler to see, like, Faith go to the dark side, and then Cordelia, you know, tell Buffy that, like, hey, that could have been you as well, and then explain what happened in the Wish World. Like, I think that could have been something. Like, I feel like that could have been a fun storyline to watch, and it would have made The Wish one of my favorite episodes. But as it stands, I just can't love it. I really like it, and it's fun, and I would obviously rewatch it, but I just can't love it. Also, by the way, with the comments, I don't mean the comments where people told me, like, why they enjoyed the episode and what they think about it and, like, their own interpretations of it. Like, I enjoy those comments because I like reading different opinions on things. Like, that's kind of the whole point, right? Like, me posting my opinions on it so that you can see a different point of view, and I can see a different point of view when I read the comments. Those are fine. Those are not the ones I mean. Please always have your own opinions in my comments. Like, I love reading those. But let's just move on to Amends, which I loved, absolutely loved. I'm gonna put this into 5x5 because I was so happy that Angel got his own storyline. Kind of, I mean, it still kind of depended on Buffy, you know, like him having to have to lose himself in Buffy. But it was still great to have a focus on him and then maybe try and figure out how he got out. Which we know that the first took credit for it, but we don't know if that's actually true or not. Also, I gotta say, the Jenny thing, oh man, that broke me. And you know why it broke me completely? Is I think either a day or two before, one of my patrons sent me a fan edit of Giles and Jenny. And they said that, like, hey, you can watch this, there are no spoilers in it, so, you know, go ahead. So I was like, okay, cool. So I watched it and all that. So obviously I didn't think that she would ever come back. And then there she was, and my mind was absolutely blown, and that was so cool, so heartbreaking for me. I loved it. Next up is Gingerbread. I think I'm gonna also put this in good but could have been better. It had some really cute and funny moments. I really loved the whole you're gonna wake up in a coma bit, and Buffy saying, did I get it? Did I get it? And I also love the fairy tale aspect and the doors that it could open for the show. Like, we could actually do some more fairy tales in the future, which would be so much fun. I love fairy tales, as you guys know. But as a whole, you know, nothing special. Just some creepy little children and brainwashed people. Next up is Helpless. I mean, Helpless is traumatizing, but in a fun way, to the fullest. God, okay, so Helpless is, I think I'm gonna risk saying this, my favorite episode of the season. It was so well done. It was so heartbreaking and traumatizing and horror filled, like in all the best ways possible. Like it was such an intense episode that I loved watching. Giles betraying Buffy was such a hard thing to watch, especially that in the same episode her dad let her down, so like both her father figures were not exactly there for her, and it was so well done. And of course Buffy, at the end of the day, she just uses her wit and she can kill a vampire without her strength as well and her slayer powers. Amazing, 10 out of 10, brilliant, loved it. Next up is the Zeppo. Not sure where to put this one because I wasn't that into the first half of the episode, but the second half was so good. And I enjoyed the focus on Xander. Like, he really grew on me this episode. And I loved him taking down the zombies and his speech at the end and his bravery. Like, it was all so good, and how normal everything that was going on with him seemed. And then we had the apocalypse as like the B plot. Like, you just gotta love a show that can make fun of itself and make what usually is the B plot the A plot, and is just as interesting and exciting, and like actually make that more exciting than the apocalypse. So I really enjoyed it. I think I'm gonna put it into love, but not in love. Like, it was really good and I really much so enjoyed it. It was just the first half that was lacking a little bit. But also Oz eating the zombie was everything. That was so funny. Especially him going the next day. Like, I don't know why I'm so full. It's such a mystery. So good. Next up is Bad Girls. I don't know. I think I'm gonna put it... I don't know. I really enjoyed it so much. Should I put it at the top or should I put it into 5x5? I feel like... I don't know, I just want to put everything so high because this is such a good season, but I think I'm going to put it into 5x5, maybe. It was so good, like Buffy almost getting drowned and then going bad again with Faith, and all of that recklessness leads to poor Ellen dying and Faith killing him, and it's starting Faith's down spiral. Man, that scene was so heartbreaking. Like, Buffy's Faith, and even Faith, I think, I don't know, she just has to feel bad. Like, the way the episode ended was mind-boggling to me. I was like, what do you mean you don't care? That was insane. Like, I never expected that. Yeah, I really loved it. Next up is Consequences, which was for sure traumatizing, but not in a fun way. So I'm gonna put it into 5x5. The reason I can never put this at the top of the list is because of what Faith did to Xander. Like, the fact that didn't actually get addressed, like, at all, is kind of tragic. Like, it could have been like a really good and forward-thinking thing to, you know, have Xander process what happened to him and have the characters acknowledge it and talk about it and say that, like, you know, men can get sexually assaulted as well, even by women. So yeah, that's kind of a shame that they didn't really delve into that. So I kind of wish they wouldn't have done it, or, you know, now that they've done it, they should have talked about it. So yeah, a really traumatizing episode. But I loved my man Giles in this one. He was straight away like, yeah, Buffy, you're not a killer, I got you. But just the Faith and Xander thing, oh god, that was so hard to watch. I'm just, oof. Next up is Doppelgangland. Again, a 5x5 episode. This was amazing and so funny, and I just loved the Willow and Vampire Willow interactions, and I loved Willow at the end where she was like, hey, let's send her back, I can't kill her, and then Buffy is like, yeah, I can't kill her either. Like, it was so good. I enjoyed it so much. It was incredibly funny. Also, this is something I missed during my watch. When Willow says, I think I'm kind of gay, and Buffy replies that, like, oh, the vampire version of you is nothing like your original version, and then Angel starts saying, well, actually, I'm sorry, does that mean, first of all, does it mean we're getting gay Willow? I mean, I don't think so, because this show in the 90s and they killed the single gay character on the show, so I don't have high hopes for it, but that would be really fun and interesting and cool. But also, does it mean that Angel originally is a psychopath that enjoys inflicting pain on people? Like, because Angelus is a different type of vampire, right? Like, he very much so enjoys the physical and mental abuse he can inflict on others. Is that just like Angel? He just doesn't act on it because he has a conscience? Is that what he's trying to say with that? Is Angel a creepy psychopath as it is. Something to think about. Next up is enemies. And of course, this is traumatizing. Oh, shit, put it in the wrong spot. Yeah, this is traumatizing, but in a fun way. I mean, second best. Need I say more? I don't think so. I was so stressed during this entire episode. It was so good. Like me really going from like, no, he's faking it. No, it's him. No, he's faking it. But no, it's him. And then in the end, him faking it that was a lot. Emotionally, I was a wreck, and also really we got to see how far Faith has gone, because she really was like, I am more than okay with killing Buffy, which is, you know, like quite a few steps above accidentally killing someone. Next up is Earshot, and I think I'm gonna put this into, oh, I didn't grab it, into 5x5. Even though it's a Monster of the Week episode, it was so much fun. I loved getting an insight into all the characters' heads, and it was just so funny. And I really, really enjoyed it, and I think it was perfectly placed in the season as well. Like, it was good that it was after enemies, like we needed kind of a break from it. And of course, Buffy's compassion again shining through in this one. Like, the way she saved Jonathan at the end was so beautiful and so heartbreaking, and I really, really enjoyed it. Next up is choices. I'm not even sure where I'm gonna put this. I think I'm gonna put it into 5x5. I really enjoyed it. I love the focus on Willow. Like, she was really badass in this episode. I mean, she killed that vampire with a pencil. That was so freaking cool. And then, of course, we had the meetup between the mayor and Buffy and the rest. Like, this was the first time they met face to face, and it was so cool. Even though the mayor randomly started monologuing about Angel and Buffy not working out in the long run, that was kind of random, but I enjoyed it regardless. And Snyder also got to find out about the mayor. I also really enjoyed Willow dropping the truth bomb on Faith and being like, nah, Faith, you're too far gone. We don't care about you anymore. And Faith being like, oh, that is not what I expected she would say. I'm gonna hit her so that she knows I'm still a badass and she didn't actually hurt my feelings. I enjoyed the episode a lot. Next up is the prom. I mean, traumatizing but in a fun way. I, again, missed it. Here we go. Class Protector. Need I say more? That scene was so good and so important, and I loved it so much. Like, straight away it was such an emotional scene, and it made me so happy to see Buffy being appreciated and the fact that all her classmates have noticed her, but it also so beautifully set up the finale. Like, I'm just in awe of that brilliance. So good. Next up is Graduation Day Part 1. I'm gonna put this in 5x5. I just can't believe she actually stabbed her. Like, that was what? She actually stabbed Faith. That was insane. But it was a really fun episode, and I enjoyed the lead up to the finale, which is Graduation Day Part 2, and it's of course going to the top of the list, and it's not the top of the list. This is the top of the list. How amazing was it when Buffy had now, and all the students disrobed and took their weapons out? Beautiful, amazing, showstopper, never before done ever. It was so well done. I loved it so much, and just like the whole episode was so satisfying to watch. It has such a satisfying ending. Like, I loved everything about it, and I feel like if that's how the show had ended, like if the show only had 3 seasons, I would be so happy with this. Like, I would be like, I feel complete, and I'm glad that this is how it ended. Like, I'm so excited to watch season 4, and I can't wait to see more of Buffy. But I feel like if this was all that I got, I would be so content. So yeah, that's my ranking of season 3. Let me know if you agree, but don't be mean. Like, you can disagree all you want, just be nice about it, because we can all have our own opinions. That's why they're called opinions. Right, guys? Right. Alright, so next up is my favorite question, which was, who is my favorite character and why is it Giles? I just love that question so much because, yes, simply, he is the best. Like, that's why he's my favorite. I love him. So yeah, it still hasn't changed. Everything he's done this season, I'm gonna overlook it, but he's still my favorite. But I do want to talk about everybody else as well. So during my last wrap up, I also ranked the characters, which again, I'm not gonna do this time because I don't know. I know I love Giles the most, and then Buffy is an extremely close second, and after that, it's pretty much just the wasteland. Like, I love them all equally and similarly. Like, there's not much of a difference between them. So yeah, I'm just gonna talk about them, and some of them are gonna be very quick, but other ones I have like a little bit more to say because some things I have noticed after I've seen everything, and then just like little bits and pieces that sort of foreshadowed some stuff. Oh, I'm gonna talk about them in an alphabetical order, except for Giles and Buffy, whom I'm gonna talk about at the very end. Right, so first we have Angel, and here's what I say about him. I am very excited for his own show because he did not a single thing this season. Like, he was there for Buffy for most of it. I mean, he had amends and he had enemies, and everything else was just like, okay, so what's the point of you being back? I don't know. Like, he was kind of just boring, and there, like, before I realized that Angel was a show after I've seen Earshot. So for the longest time, I didn't know that was a thing, and I was actually already like thinking about a rant I was gonna do during this wrap up about Angel and how pointless his character was, and I hated that they brought him back. I thought that it completely ruined the whole finale and it cheapened it so much more, and they brought him back for no reason because he didn't end up doing anything epic. But then he has his own show, so I completely understand why they brought him back, and I'm hoping that his show is gonna be, you know, more focused on him and he gets to do his own stuff that have nothing to do with Buffy. That's kind of what I want from him. Because here, oh god, just the whole like, we're just friends, no, but we're in love, no, but we're gonna break up, no, we're gonna be in love again, no, we're gonna break up. Shtick with Buffy was getting so old, I was just kind of over it. I was like, I don't even know if they're together or not. Like, I swear to god, they broke up in Enemies and then they were together in Earshot, and like, what happened? How did that happen? I'm confused. It just was kind of hard to keep track of their relationship, and I don't know, I feel like it kind of fizzled out. Like, I was very into them in season 2, but in season 3 there wasn't too much that I was excited about when I was watching them. Also, I want to do this thing where whenever I talk about a character, I'm going to talk about their funniest and most badass moments of the season. And for Angel, I think one of his funniest moments, like, there's obviously a lot of funny and badass moments for all characters. These are just the ones that came to my mind, and I think one of his funniest moments is him in Graduation Day Part 1 when he's going into the professor's house and he just randomly slips. That was so funny, and Buffy's just like, oh my god, who's coming? That was just so funny. I really enjoyed it. And his most badass moment has to be second best. I mean, that was everything to me. And then the slow motion afterwards, it was so well done and I loved it. Next up is Cordelia, and god, I wish she had more to do. She had nothing to do from episode 9 onwards. From episode 10 to 19, she just kept randomly popping in, being mean, and then dipping. It was so random. I mean, I loved her storyline at the end about her dad losing the money, and then, you know, her having to have to work and can't go to colleges. Like, that was super interesting, and I wish we could have explored more of that, but I am hoping that we're gonna explore that next season, and that she's gonna be in it more and have more to do. Her funniest moment was slapping Giles awake and then telling him that one day you're gonna wake up in a coma. That was peak Cordelia. I loved it. And her badass moment has to be stabbing that vampire in Graduation Day Part 2. I love the scene where she, you know, talked to the cowboy vampire and made him leave. But at the end, she just straight up killed the vampire. I mean, that's badass. Next up is Faith, and oh man, Faith is such an interesting character. Like, I think I talked about a lot of my feelings about her in my reviews. So the one thing I've kind of noticed and I want to talk about is Buffy and Faith, like, relationship and comparing them as slayers. Because it seems like that Buffy is more of a slayer than Faith. And I mean that by, in the first episode, Giles tells Buffy that you're the slayer, you should be able to sense, I think, either monsters or just vampires, but you should be able to sense these unnatural forces, right? And I don't think Faith can do that. Like, we saw Buffy do that straight up in the pilot. Like, yeah, she said it's because of the way he's dressed, but I'm sure she had like some sort of like Peter tingle about it as well. And then she also straight away knew that Whistler in Becoming Part 2 was a demon. Like, he was just casually in Giles' apartment and Buffy walked up to him and he looked like a completely normal dude, and she straight up was like, yo, why are you demons up here? And that was so shocking to me. But then, of course, like when you think about those facts, you're like, oh, okay, so she probably sensed him as a demon. And then even when Faith was introduced, Buffy straight away clocked that the guy Faith was dancing with was a vampire. And then she went out to help her. These are the instances I could think of. But then, on the other hand, Faith, again, she doesn't seem to be able to do that, because straight away in episode 3, she opened the door to the dead guy and to the other vampires. Like, she couldn't even tell a little bit there was something fishy going on, even though I think she looked out the peephole, right? I think she did, because I remember looking at the dead guy and was like, that guy's dead, like, let's not open the door. And then when Gwendolyn was knocking on her door, and the way she opened it, she straight up had a stake up in her hand. She was about to stab, whoever was behind the door. And of course, the final one is her stabbing Ellen. Like, Buffy could sense that Ellen wasn't a vampire, right? Like, Buffy really was like, in the last moment, realized that, holy shit, we have to stop. That's a human. But Faith didn't. Faith was just like, only seeing the killing. Like, she saw a threat and she went for it. Like, she didn't even stop to think. She didn't even stop to sense. Like, I don't know if she can sense it or she just doesn't listen to it. I don't know, but it's really fascinating, like, how different two Slayers are and their powers are. And of course, that whole scene brings us to the same scene that we had in Doppelgangland, where Buffy was about to stab Vampire Willow and Willow yells, stop! And Buffy is able to stop herself in the very last second. And I wonder, like, what makes her that different? Like, is it because she doesn't enjoy killing? Like, Buffy is more killing because she has to, and she's able to listen to reason, like, she can hold herself back, she's not as reckless as Faith. Like, I'm not sure if those are the reasons, or is it because she's training with Giles, or is it their different personalities, or because Faith just dives headfirst into danger and the only thing in her mind is killing and there's nothing else, like, no room for a logical thought at all. So yeah, that's kind of things I noticed about Faith and Buffy and their differences. And I actually can't wait to rewatch season 3 at some point so I can pick up on even more clues that now I know what to look for because I've seen the entire season. Next up is Joyce. I mean, she's there. She's there, which is, fair. Like, a lot of parents are nowhere to be seen in teenage shows. So I'm like that she shows up, and she has come a long way since season 2. Like, she now really accepts Buffy for who she is, and she's there for her and she's supporting her, which I love, and I only wish good things for Joyce. Next up is the mayor. He was a very chilling and creepy villain, and I liked him a lot, but I do wish we could have learned more about him, because at the end of the season I feel like there's so much I don't know. Like what about his past, and why did he want to ascend? Like, we don't know any of these things. Like, was he fully human? Was he just like a normal dude who somehow ended up becoming immortal? Was he even immortal? Like, we know he's old and he's not aging, but was he fully immortal? Because if he was, I don't really understand why he wanted to become a demon. Like, why? What did he want? I just don't know. I really don't know, and that's kind of bothering me. Like, I wish we could have explored that more. But as a whole, he was a really great villain. Like, I enjoyed watching him, and I enjoyed his scenes, and I enjoy is a strong word, but it was fascinating to watch him interact with Faith. Like, that was a weird relationship, but I liked it, and I liked him. I just wish we could have learned more about him. Next up is Oz. He's great. I love him. Not much else to say. He's barely done anything. But his funniest moment was definitely when he was thinking all these existential things, and he was just so profound, and then all he said out loud was like, huh. I loved it. That's so funny, because now I can always just picture when Oz says his like monosyllable words that he's thinking of some amazing poetic things. And his most badass moment has to be sun's down, rules change. That was so good. I loved it. I love him. He's a great character. Wish he had more to do as well. Next up is Wesley. And oh man, Wesley is so hard because Alexis Denisov is doing an amazing job comedy-wise. Like, he makes Wesley so funny, and I love all his comedy bits. He's also a great physical comedy actor. Like, I love it. I love it so much. Like, I really enjoy watching him. But Wesley the character is such a coward, and it's he doesn't do anything. He just sucks. He's not good at fighting. He just hides and cowers, and then straight away was willing to give up Angel so that he can save his own skin. I mean, at that point, he did not know that Angel was a vampire. He was just willing to give out any random dude's name so that he could keep his kneecaps. Which is fair, but also, like, maybe hold out a little bit longer. Just saying. So I will miss him as a comic relief, but I'm not too sad about him leaving the show. His funniest moment was in Earshot when he was saying that, like, you guys need very good mental discipline, that, you know, you're not gonna think about the thing that you don't want Buffy to know. And then immediately goes to, like, look at Cordelia, she's so beautiful. No, don't look at her. You're a bad, bad boy. That was so good. Like, he's really out here doing the most. And his most badass moment? None. Nothing. Absolutely nada. Could not be found. I mean, even him saving Cordelia was kind of cowardly because he screamed like a little baby afterwards. And he was trembling like a leaf when he was trying to chase Vampire Willow away. Next up is Willow. And she has come such a long way since the beginning of the season. We saw her get better at doing magic, become more confident and assertive, and not let herself be pushed around. I love all of those for her. The thing I didn't love was her cheating on Oz. Like, that's a big no for me. But now that she's all of that, like, confident and assertive, I think she now realizes that she's actually a good friend to Buffy. Because I noticed multiple times that she was thinking that she isn't actually good enough to be Buffy's friend. First time I actually noticed it, like, I don't know if it happened before, but the one I can remember was in Helpless, when they weren't sure what was happening to Buffy, and Buffy was saying that, I don't know what I'm gonna do without my powers, but if I never get them back, I'll just have to live with it. And then Willow kind of looked happy about it and was about to say, this could actually open, and then they got interrupted, but I'm assuming she was gonna say, like, open so much new possibilities. And I think Willow actually got excited that they would be on the same playing field, like they could be both just be regular as humans and they could be best friends, and Willow wouldn't feel inferior to Buffy or feel like that she isn't good enough for her. I mean, she loves Buffy and she wouldn't want Buffy to lose her powers, but I feel like she thinks that she can't keep up with her while she's the Slayer and she's just a person. And then in Bad Girls, Willow saw Buffy starting to like maybe Faith more because Faith can keep up with her and they can do these Slayer things together, and that Willow isn't actually cool enough for Buffy because she can't kill things with her bare hands. And you know, she gave that little protection thing to Buffy and it seemed so stupid because Buffy didn't really care about it, and it felt like that Willow wasn't able to contribute to her and wasn't able to be there for her the same way Faith was, so she was, you know, a little bit jealous and she didn't think she was cool enough to be Buffy's friend. So we got these little glimpses into how much Willow was scared of losing Buffy, because one day Buffy will realize how lame and boring Willow is and that she can't keep up with her, so she wouldn't want to be friends with her anymore. Which we know is crazy, right? Like, they're friends and Buffy loves Willow, but it's easy to understand why Willow would feel like that. And in Earshot we get an actual glimpse into Willow's head. She thinks that now, because Buffy has even more powers than before, now she has even less of a need for Willow. And I think that really scares her, like being not needed. Like, maybe that's why she took up trying to become a witch. Like, I know it's fun and exciting and something for her to do and something that genuinely interests her, but I think part of it might have been so that she could contribute, like she could be useful so that she won't lose Buffy. I just love how well written Willow is. Like, it's so well done and I love it, and I love analyzing these characters. Like, it's so fascinating. But I do think the way, you know, Willow decided to stay here and help Buffy and go to the same university together, I think she's at that point where she's like, okay, we are friends and I am needed even if I can't kill things with my bare hands. Which is amazing. I love that friendship so much. Willow's funniest moment was in Doppelganger when she asked Snyder, do you want us to breed? I don't know why, but that was so funny. Like, that caught me off guard so bad. I was like, what? The way she just phrased it, like she actually asked the principal if he's like trying to get them to have a child together. Like, That was amazing, and her delivery was so good. And her most badass moment has to be killing that vampire with pencil. Like, that was so cool. I was so proud of her. She's amazing. Next up is Xander, and Xander also came a long way this season. I really enjoyed his episode. I thought he grew a lot in that one, and I also really liked that he bought the dress for Cordy at the end. That was so sweet. And I'm very excited for his character for next season as well, because I feel like the things that I really don't like about him are usually something that have to do with Angel. Like, those are the moments when I'm just like, oh, Xander, stop. But now that Angel's leaving, I feel like all of those are gonna be gone, and I think I'm gonna be loving him even more. Especially that now he's, gonna become an adult, so he's gonna be maturing even more than he did this season, and I'm excited for mature Xander. Xander's funniest moment was when he was holding up the cross to Willow, who he thought was a vampire at the time, and then it just wasn't working, and then he started shaking it as if it was battery powered and the battery had just died. I really love that, like, small thing, like, it's just like you blink and you miss it. Like, it's a very understated joke, but it's so funny and I loved it. And his most badass moment was, I Like the Quiet. That was so chilling and kind of heartbreaking, but it was so badass, and that he was really willing to die to save everyone. I was really proud of him. And now we have arrived to Buffy, and she's just amazing, isn't she? Compassionate, kind, and just so brave. I just love her so much, and it's kind of funny how she's one of my faves and I have nothing to say about her. I don't know what to say. I feel like I said everything I wanted to say during all my reviews, or I don't know, maybe I just love her too much to talk about her. I don't know, but I love her and she's great, and she's been through so much that I just want the best for her. Maybe season 4 will be her year and she's finally gonna be truly happy. For sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely. I mean, I can picture it. Her funniest moment was, alright, I get it, you're evil. Are we gonna chat about it all day? I love that she just says the first evil. She literally was like, can you shut the fuck up and let's just fight if you wanna fight? Like, I love her. And her most badass moment, I mean, she has so many badass moments, right? Like, she's the Slayer. Like, she kicks ass every single episode. I mean, we saw her kill 2 vampires with the same stake at the same time. Like, that was really cool. But I will forever love her saying, bite me, to Quentin. So good. And then, of course, last but not least, for sure not least, maybe first, is Giles. And again, what is it about my faves that I can't talk about them? I have nothing to say. I just love him so much and I can't think of anything. My brain is literally just like... Right, he betrayed Buffy. Bad Giles. Bad Giles. But then he did redeem himself, and from that moment on, he was supporting Buffy fully, like 100% behind her. I do hope that he can find love again someday, though. Maybe season 4 will be Giles' year as well. His funniest moment was, if it's for me to scrub those hard-to-reach places, I'd request you kill me right now. And then a vampire pushes him and he goes, ow! Like, his ow is just as funny as what he was saying before, because he's really just like, excuse me, how dare you push me? Like, I know you've kidnapped me and you're gonna kill me, but like, can you not push me? That's extremely rude. And his most badass moment was him stabbing the mayor. I mean, he knew that it wasn't gonna do anything to him besides maybe make him so angry that he actually retaliates and maybe kills him. But he did not care. The mayor threatened Buffy's life, and you do not do that in the presence of Giles unless you wanna get hit. The next question was, what was the biggest surprise for me this season? And I think I'm gonna have to go with Buffy stabbing Faith. Like, I really didn't see that coming. I fully believed that Faith was gonna betray the mayor at the end, that she's gonna come back to the side of good. And especially with, Buffy saying that she can't kill Faith, like she can't kill anyone. I really wasn't expecting her to actually go through with it by the end of the episode. I was utterly shocked. The next question is, who had the best character development? And I don't know, I think I'm gonna go with Giles. He really went from being a watcher who followed all the rules and was reporting to the council to, being fired and just being a librarian and being kind of a rebel, like how he probably used to be as the Ripper. And he really just embraced himself as the father figure of Buffy. Like, he really can just be fully that for her without having to report on her to the council or talk to them about her. Like, he can just support Buffy 100% without having to be worried about any sort of blowback from the council. The next question is, which was the saddest moment? And I think, hands down, it's Buffy finding out that Giles has betrayed her. God, that whole scene was so heartbreaking. Like, Buffy saying, like, how could you do this to me? Who are you? If you touch me, I'll kill you. All of that was so difficult to watch. The poor girl. So much trauma just all the time. Especially on her birthday. And the next question was about the happiest moment, which is gonna have to be the prom scene. I'm sorry, that was so good. It made me so happy. It made me so happy that I teared up. Buffy always felt like an outsider at school. She didn't feel like anybody else besides the Scoobies have noticed her. I mean, remember in the episode where she came back to school and she needed to get a recommendation from a teacher, and she went up to her favorite teacher and the teacher was literally like, I don't know who you are. Like, that was so sad. And to know that in the end they knew her, that they knew that she was helping them, that she was protecting them, is incredible. And I'm so happy for her. Like, she's truly deserved that award, and I'm so happy that they did that for her. Next question is the funniest moment. God, this season had so many. I mean, just the entirety of Bad Candy and Doppelgangland, like, they already take the cake. Like, they were both hilarious episodes with so many good and funny lines. I will insert clips of my top 3 picks, which were so hard to pick, and they could be subject to change because so many amazing and funny things happened this episode. But before I play the clips, I do want to mention 2 runner-ups, which were, do you like my mask? It raises the dead. Americans. Bro, that was so funny. And then Buffy and Gingerbread brutally impaling that demon and then just asking, did I get it? Did I get it? Why was that so funny to me? I loved it, even though it was so gruesome. So here are my top 3 picks, and I am so upset about the number 1 pick. Like, how did this happen? How did we end up here?
You get out of this house, or I will stake you myself.
You're a very bad man.
Joyce, you can't trust him. Invite me in.
Oh, sorry.
All right, bloody priceless.
It's so funny. I just can't believe that it's Wesley that's taking home the number 1 spot, but everything about that is so good. The way he arches his back, the way he screams and turns around with the holy water and the cross. It's so funny. I love it. But I can't believe he won. Next question is, who is my favorite big bad? Ooh, that's a difficult one. I mean, I'm gonna have to put the Master straight away at the bottom. Like, he was alright. He was very creepy, and I mean, he did kill Buffy, so like, so far he's the worst villain. Technically, like, he did the most damage to Buffy. Physically, not emotionally, but physically. Well, maybe emotionally as well. I mean, dealing with dying must be a lot. But he just wasn't that much of a presence. Like, he's been in a few episodes. He didn't do too much. But it's kind of tough deciding between Angelus and the Mayor. They were both fun and creepy villains, but maybe I'm leaning a little bit towards Angelus just because of his connection to Buffy and how heartbreaking it was for her to see him like that. And he did kill Jenny, which was so upsetting, but also like a very good villain move. But we also just know way more about Angelus. Like, not only we know him as Angel, but we also learn some about his past as Angelus. Whereas with the Mayor, again, as I mentioned it in the character section, like, there's so much we don't know about him. So maybe if we found out his motives more, or like his past more, I could put him above Angelus. But as it stands, I think I'm gonna rank Angelus on the top, then the Mayor, then the Master, which is my favorite so far. Again, such a difficult question because well, not with season 1 again. Like, season 1 goes to the bottom. Even though it was a great introduction to the show, it made me fall in love with it, and it had some spectacular episodes as well. Like, Angel and Prophecy Girl were both amazingly well done. Still, the show was just trying to find its footing, and also it only had 12 episodes, which kind of hinder its chances because all the other ones had doubled the episodes, so they had more of a chance to wow me. But then with season 2 and 3, I mean, season 2 did have episodes such as Innocence, Passion, and Becoming Part 2. All incredible episodes, heartbreaking and brilliantly done. But then also we had Spike and Drew, who were pretty admirable foes, and I really enjoyed their interactions and their relationship. Like, it was very interesting to see that vampires can fall in love even without a soul. Like, they were a couple and they loved each other, and that was also interesting, and I loved their dynamic. And then I loved Angelos joining them and their dynamic together, and then I loved the eventual team up of Spike and Buffy. But then it also had episodes such as Bad Eggs and Go Fish, which is just like kind of bring it down a little bit. But then you have season 3, which was so much fun and so cohesive. Like, it had a really good storyline and also had some amazing episodes. I mean, Anne, Helpless, Bad Girls, Consequences, Enemies, Graduation Day, The Prom, like so many amazing episodes. And then you had episodes like Band Candy and Doppelgangland, which were just comedy golds. Like, it had so much going for it. And it had the whole Faith and Buffy thing and their rivalry going on. And then the mayor was super creepy. Like, I enjoyed a lot of it. So I feel like for this one, I'm gonna have to go with season 3. So season 3 is my favorite, season 2, and then season 1. The next question is, if I could have one relationship live happily ever after, who would it be? And also, there are no restrictions. Like, it can be present or past or canon, non-canon, like whatever I want. And I think you guys know my answer. It would have to be Jenny and Giles. I just want Giles to be happy, and he was so happy with Jenny, and I want Jenny to be alive, and they could have been epic together. It also makes me wonder how Helpless would have gone if Jenny was still here. Like, I wonder if Giles had told her what he has to do to Buffy, and then Jenny could have talked him out of it, being like, I understand that you feel like you need to do this because your family has had watchers before, like this was your destiny, and you have like this sense of duty towards them, but you don't have to betray Buffy. Like, you can say no, or you can, lie and tell Buffy that the test is coming up, but then have her act surprised when test begins. Like, I think it would have been interesting to see and see how she would influence him, but we'll never know, so it's sad. The next question is, how did the Buffy and Giles relationship evolve? I think they've always been close, but after Helpless, they truly became a father and daughter duo. After Giles got fired, there was nothing holding him back from truly loving Buffy and just being there for her and supporting her. He had no more obligations to tell the council about her movements or keep that little journal about her. He can truly protect her and love her as he sees fit. I'm just so happy Buffy was able to forgive Giles, and now they can truly just be there for each other all the time and support each other and help each other out. The next question is, what do I think the wishverse characters tell us about our versions of the characters? And what would Cordelia have been like, because we didn't actually get to see her wishword self? I think first and foremost, it tells us that our characters need each other. They need to be in each other's lives so that they can help each other and lift them up and make them better people. Like, even with our Buffy, like our world Buffy, we know that she would have the tendency to resent the Slayer life. Like, we know that she doesn't like killing, that she's only doing this out of a sense of duty and to save people. Like, she cares about people, but I think the very core of her is just doing this because she has to. And then because she has the friends around her, that's why she's doing it to save people. And in the Wish world, she still was fighting the fight, but it was only out of duty. Like, she didn't really seem to care about saving people. I mean, we saw her try and leave Angel behind. Like, she just saw this guy chained up and was just gonna leave him. And that's not the Buffy we would recognize. So I love that we know that her friends are the people who ground her and can help her become the person that wants to save other people. And that's why she's doing it, because she wants to make the world a better place, and not just because, you know, it's whatever, I'm just going through the motions, a vampire killing here, a vampire killing there, like who cares? It's kind of crazy how kind of heartless she was and didn't play well with others, and she was just on her own. And even from Buffy's own mouth, we heard that Slayer shouldn't be alone because that's not healthy for them. Oz and Giles were pretty much the same. I think what we learn is that no matter what, Slayer or no Slayer, Giles and Oz will fight for good. Like, they're not gonna give up, they're not gonna let people get hurt, they're gonna try and do their best to save them. We also learned that Willow is gay? Maybe, I don't know. With Xander, I think we learned that he's always been into Willow. Like, as a human, I think subconsciously he wouldn't let himself fall for her because he didn't want to ruin their friendship. Maybe because, like, they both became vampires in the pilot, like in season 1, which means that that's when they started dating as vampires. So that would mean that Xander already had an attraction for Willow as well. So I think that could be something, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'm reading this wrong. And I think Cordelia probably would have been similar to her season 1 self. Like, when she came to school, we saw how Harmony acted with her, and like, you know, how guys were still lining up to go out with her and they were hoping she would say yes to them. Like, she didn't have a boyfriend, she was just playing the field around. Like, she was very much so in control. So I think she was kind of like season 1 Cordelia. Next question is, what was my favorite Buffy community moment? And I know it's a cliche, but I'm gonna have to go with the graduation scene when Buffy yells now and they all rip out their weapons and they all fight together. It was just so amazing to see that all these kids that have no training or know how to fight, they decided to stay there and to do it and to actually fight back and take their lives into their own hands. And even if they're gonna die, they're gonna go down swinging. Like, once Buffy told them what was going on, they could have been like, okay, so I'm not gonna go to graduation. But they still showed up. They showed up and they fought hard, and they were doing it side by side with Buffy, and it was an amazing moment. And not something I ever thought would happen, so that was so special to me. Next question is, what was my favorite example in season 3 of Buffy solving problems with her intelligence, compassion, rather than her Slayer powers? I'm gonna give a quick shout out to Buffy killing that vampire with the holy water. That clearly showed her intelligence and her resourcefulness, and that she's able to think on her feet. That was so brilliant, but also she didn't have a choice, right? Like, she didn't have a power, so she couldn't do anything else besides try and be clever. So that makes my favorite example the scene in Earshot, when she goes up to Jonathan and she talks to him. Like, she could have easily taken the gun away from Jonathan, she could have overpowered him and be that the end of it. And especially at the beginning, when she thought that he was going to use the gun on other people, and she still decided to be compassionate and try and reason with him and ask him, why are you doing this? Like, you don't do this, this is stupid. And then we find out why he was doing this, and we never would have found out that that's what he was doing if Buffy had just tackled him or something. Like, maybe he wouldn't have admitted it then, I don't know. But it's just so good to see that Buffy is truly so compassionate, and she's willing to give everybody a second chance. And she gave like the biggest second chance to Jonathan, and then it all came around when he gave her the Class Protector Award. Like, I just love those 2 moments. Next question is, if I had the power, what I would change about the show? Which is such a fascinating question. I really like it. And I think I wouldn't have brought Angel back so soon. I think I would have brought Angel back like maybe midway through season 3. I think it would have been nicer to sit with his death a little bit longer. He also didn't really do anything in the first half of the season. There was kind of no point in making him a series regular. Like, I get that he had to be because his own show was coming up, so they had to include him. But I just feel like it was kind of a waste, and him coming back made that we couldn't see more of some other characters like Cordelia or Oz or even Faith. Like, I know that Eliza was 17, so she couldn't be in more scenes. Like, I understand that. But it would have just been a lot better if we could have developed Faith and Buffy at the beginning. Like, have them be closer friends, and then Angel comes back and Buffy lies about it, and then Faith finds out that she lied to her, so that it's more like hurtful to Faith that Buffy has lied, because originally, like, they weren't really friends there. So Faith, like, it didn't make sense that it bothered her that much. Like, sure, it would bother her, but it would have been a lot better if they were already a better friends at that point. And then also when Faith eventually betrays Buffy, could have been a bigger hit as well. So I just kind of wish we had Angel come in a little bit later and then also develop the Buffy and Faith friendship more, so that then her eventual betrayal is more heartbreaking. Next question is, do I think there were any missed opportunities, or is there anything I wish they explored deeper? I touched upon this in the previous question. It's the Faith and Buffy relationship and also finding out more about the mayor. I guess it would have been cool if all the questions I've stated before have been found out by Faith, and maybe it would have also told us why she was helping the mayor. I mean, I know why she was doing it, because she wanted him to be proud of her, because she's craving the love and affection of like a father figure or a parental figure. But it would have just been cool to see that like maybe the mayor has like a batshit crazy idea or motive to doing all of this, and Faith is still supporting him. Like, I think that would have been really cool to see and could have given us more insight into the mayor and Faith. Next question is it fun or interesting to see the differences between the Slayers like Kendra, Faith and Buffy? And yes, it's very interesting. I love seeing how different each and every one of them are. Kendra was truly the good girl who obeyed her watcher, obeyed the council, followed all the rules, put her duty above all else, like her own personal life and happiness and her family, friends, like all of that didn't matter to her. She was here to slay vampires and save the world. And then you have Faith, who is the complete opposite. She's drunk with power and she plays by her own rules. Of course, at the beginning we saw her do her duties as well, but maybe she was a bit too excited by them, kind of taking it too far, where she wasn't just killing, she was also torturing and taking pleasure in it. So we have one Slayer who kills monsters because it's her duty, and we have another Slayer who kills monsters because she enjoys it. And then we have Buffy, kind of in the middle. She kills because she wants to keep people safe, especially her friends. She wishes she could have a normal life, do normal things, but she knows that she's the only one who can kill these creatures, and she's even willing to give up on her dreams to do so. She plays by the rules, but she doesn't follow or obey anyone blindly. She also doesn't enjoy killing. She does it because she has to, and that's the only way she can keep her friends and family safe, and she tries and do it as quickly as possible. It's so cool to see how different they all are. I love all of my Slayers, even the homicidal one. Next question is, if I lived in the Buffyverse, who or what would I be, and how would I relate to or interact with the gang? I think I would want to be a witch, because it seems like you just can't be a witch. Like, you can just study it and become one. Like, you don't need to have some sort of special power or need to be bitten by a werewolf. Like, you can just be a witch if you put your mind to it. And I would probably be Giles's arch enemy, because I would be stealing all his books on witchcraft and would be hightailing it out of Sunnydale as fast as I could. Like, I am not staying in that town. I am not stupid. I'm not trying to die here. I am gonna go far away, learn my nice little magic tricks, and have a cute little life. Next up is season 4 predictions. I guess we're gonna see Buffy and Willow go to university, and it's gonna be very interesting to see them in a completely new environment and a new setting, and how they're gonna tackle these new challenges that life brings at them. I also believe that Buffy mentioned that she's gonna be living on campus, so I'm hoping that her and Willow are gonna be sharing a dorm room, and that's gonna be so cute, and they're gonna be like true little sisters. Xander, I'm guessing, is gonna start working, probably, because he said he has no interest in university. I'm also thinking Buffy might get a new love interest now that Angel is gone. Hopefully this one is not just gonna dump her out of the blue. I'm excited to see what Cordelia will do, because she clearly wanted to go to university, but now she can't afford it, so maybe she's gonna keep working at the clothes store and then save some money up so that she can do whatever she wants to do. I'm also curious to see how they're gonna involve her, because usually her involvement was because she would go to the library and would stumble upon a mystery that the gang is dealing with. I also don't know what Oz is doing next season, because he's super smart, so he could get into any university he wanted, but I don't know if he wants to do that, so I guess we'll see. Also about Faith. She never died, did she? Because, I mean, she got stabbed and she fell down. Like, did she ever need to be resuscitated? Like, we didn't see that. Did they ever have to do that or not? Because then maybe we could see another Slayer next season. I don't know. That would be kind of insane. Like, having 3 Slayers at the same time. We could definitely have like a big Slayer battle, like 3 Slayers against each other maybe. I don't know, that could be kind of interesting and fun. But I'm also thinking we're gonna see Faith again. I'm not sure if it's gonna be in season 4, but if they wanted to get rid of Faith, they would have just killed her off. Like, no one's gonna put a character in a coma just so that they can randomly kill her off screen maybe, or on screen, but then it doesn't really matter if she doesn't wake up. Like, she's gonna have to wake up at some point and cause some mischief, I'm assuming. Or maybe she's gonna be like, I forgive you, Buffy, because that was the vibe I was getting from her in like that dream that they were sharing. So I don't know, I guess we'll see. I'm also very excited for episode 6 because so far episode 6 has been the one where Ethan Rayne shows up. And I feel like he's one of those characters that always recurs once every season. So yeah, I'm looking forward to episode 6 and hoping to see Ethan Rayne again. I'm also curious to see if there's gonna be any sort of consequences to blowing up the Hellmouth. Like, are there gonna be monsters crawling out from under it? Like, maybe they blew a rift in the thing that was keeping it closed, so maybe some demons or some things are gonna be able to crawl out of it, and then that's gonna be something that Buffy's gonna have to deal with and maybe try and close the Hellmouth again. I was also asked where I think the gang will now have their headquarters since the library was blown up. And I gotta say, I have no idea. Originally, I was gonna say maybe the university, but because only half our characters are going there, that would be a little bit too difficult. So we need some place where everybody can get to very easily. I just hope it's gonna be just as iconic as the library was. Which reminds me, Giles needs to find a new job. And the final question is, what I expect to see in Angel. I actually have no idea what to expect. Like, they didn't set anything up for it at all. The show really was just like, we know you're a hoe for Buffy, so we know you're gonna tune into Angel. We're not gonna tell you what it's about. You're gonna show up because we own your ass. And they're right, like, I'm gonna show up to Angel, I have no idea what to expect. Where is he going? Like, he just disappeared into the puff of smoke so dramatically. And then, where is he going? What's he gonna do there when he gets there? Is he gonna be like Buffy, like, as a pseudo-slayer, where he's just gonna go out and fight monsters every night? Like, not a single clue. One thing I would love to see him do, though, is find out who got him out of hell. Like, I wanna know who organized it and why. Like, is it a force of good and they want him to be here so that he can do more good? Or is it like a force of evil and they want to turn him into Angelus, or they want to use him somehow? I don't know, but I really want to find out. Because originally my dumbass was not even thinking about how he got out. Like, I don't know how I went 7 episodes without questioning that. But now that it has been questioned, I want to know the answer really badly. Alright, that was my wrap-up Q&A for season 3. Thank you guys so much for sitting through this. I'm sure it's gonna be very long. I can feel my voice leaving me, so like, I've been filming for a long time, so I don't know, I think this is gonna be very long. So if you're still here and you watched the whole thing, thank you so much. That's insane. Why? You deserve a gold star. Thank you for being here with me, and a huge thank you for all my patrons for supporting me and for asking all these awesome questions of me. Thank you so much, and especially thank you for your continued support. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!
I tried so hard, but all these scars, they cut so deep, I bleed. I fell so fast from heaven, it's like someone clipped